We're going live.
Going live. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
So I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. And I hope people saw Game Night because it was fun.
The movie?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's pretty good. It's pretty enjoyable. I haven't seen Black Panther yet, so let's not talk about it.
Why are your priorities skewed that you saw Game Night first before Black Panther?
Actually, I'm not going to lie. I want to see Game Night.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's pretty
Before
good.
Black Panther?
What?
Before Black Panther?
Oh, no. I'm a man of culture.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, let's be real. Let's be real. No, never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Sure,
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, you are a man of culture.
Yes. So, yeah.
Yeah. So how's everyone doing? We're ready to talk about comics and cartoons and everything.
Almost.
All right.
Why isn't he ready? Why isn't he ready for his thing?
I don't know. We agreed on the assignment and he didn't do it.
I didn't do it, but I'll just say
he's cramming his homework right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what. And you know what? I did my homework a couple of hours ago. So
I'm proud of you. Saki, what's up?
20 minutes ago. You know what? I did it before we started. So.
yeah.
Oh, guys, I want you to know that we're now part of the Saki Cinematic Universe. The SC.
The NOLAnerdcast is proud to announce that we are now part of the Saki Cinematic Universe. Partnered up with the Super Deformed Gamecast, and because we are expanding, we're gonna take over their comic book expertise because, damn it, that's just what we're good at. I mean, of course, we're still going to be talking games because that's also what we're good at. But you know, it's nice to be appreciated for what we're good at. And to be fair, the NOLAnerdcast did start its life as a DC New 52 review show. So, you know, going back to the roots.
It sure did. We used to have two separate shows.
We did. We used to have a game show and a comic.
It was dumb because the game show was once a month.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, in retrospect, it was a terrible idea.
Oh, yeah.
We would, by the time we would do them once a month, and by the time we talked about the news, it was like 3 to 4 weeks old, and then who gives a shit?
Yeah.
But you know what?
Cool.
I miss it. I'm just saying. Hey, Chris, can we agree that Thor: The Dark World is the greatest of all Marvel movies?
Oh, I know you're joking.
Nah, dog, that ain't me. What you talking about?
Yeah, you are very vocal in your hate.
You might expect.
What?
It is higher on my list than you might expect.
That
oh my God, is it your Cars too?
No, nowhere near.
It is your Cars too. Got it.
Our Cars 3. Why was Cars 2 and 3 so high on that list?
We'll never know.
We'll never know. So let's talk. Let me get some comic book news out the way.
Wait.
Just to start things off. We have our first glimpse of the Shazam costume. It's actually super happening. But
Yeah,
this picture is from like over the left shoulder, so it's not a whole lot to work on.
Why are we looking it up?
I'm not. It just showed up on Twitter.
Oh, here's the left shoulder of Shazam.
Yeah, basically.
No big
It
deal.
just makes me feel good that it's actually something's happening in the movie.
Shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saki's very happy. Saki loves Zachary Levi.
I think he's the best. Like, that was the best news once I heard he was playing that character.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, Saki. He's Disney Prince. We know.
He is a Disney Prince.
Wow.
Because he was Flynn Rider in the part Tangled.
He's your boy from Tangled. Hey, Matt. Hey, Matt.
Yes, dear.
Do you remember The Dying and the Dead?
Nobody remembers that. Not even Jonathan Hickman.
So let's give a little background. The Dying and the Dead is a 10-issue miniseries from Image that started in 2015. It has not reached issue 7 yet and is now on hiatus. I don't know what happened.
Incredibly frustrating.
I don't know what happened. I jumped off when I realized that it was going to be 3 months between issues. I know you were one of the holdouts. I cannot possibly imagine anyone who's like a hardcore fan of this.
Oh, it breaks my heart because it got to the point where the issues released so infrequently that I would forget what the hell was happening every time without fail.
It's like your Afterlife with Archie or Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yeah.
Geek auteur Kevin Smith suffered a massive heart attack.
Yeah.
Holy shit, you guys. He's okay, but that's pretty scary.
Yeah, with this past couple of years we've had.
Yeah.
Pretty scary whenever anybody Gen X and older has anything happen.
Yeah, and it's important to remember, it's kind of fun to bag on Kevin Smith, but he may be one of the most influential filmmakers for Gen X and a little bit of our generation. Like his worth cannot be overstated.
I don't think he gets enough credit for bringing the whole geek and nerd thing into the mainstream. People didn't used to, I don't think everybody remembers that until Clerks came out, I had never heard someone bring up Star Wars in a movie.
Yeah, you're right. It 100% had the references that you never saw in the theaters before.
Movies didn't talk about movies. As far as we knew, movies didn't exist in movies unless they went to see Singing in the Rain randomly or something. But no one ever talked about movies in a movie. You just pretended like they didn't exist. And then Clerks came out, and I didn't even realize that was missing. That was a huge component of my life, was talking about the things I saw.
No one talked about the talkies?
No.
Get out of here.
Unless it was literally about making movies, they weren't going to talk about it.
Not to mention the fact that he kind of reinvigorated the independent movie scene.
Yeah. Well, he and Rodriguez and Tarantino and a couple others are basically the Spielberg, De Palma, Scorsese, and Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas of their. It's like they were the indie filmmakers that got turned new after the studios.
You don't really bankrupt.
Real quick, and Chad Perkins says hi to both Chris and Doug. So
hi, Perkins.
Hi, Perkins.
Yeah, so we're glad he's on the mend. Very relieved that we don't have to say goodbye to him yet. Hey, guys, did you know that Batgirl is a really hard film to make?
Yeah.
It's the hardest film to make. It's actually right up there with Sandman.
Because Joss Whedon is officially not doing Batgirl because he has no story for Batgirl. Despite 70, 60 years of Batgirl existing, there are no stories.
Well, he couldn't figure out a way to stealthily subvert feminism tropes and somehow make it about him sleeping on his wife.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter because he's gone.
Fair comment, but also, I don't understand, but I do. Maybe he can't figure out how to make a Batgirl movie when you haven't made a fucking Batman.
Yeah.
How do you produce her without talking about Batman and it not be Birds of Prey? The shittiest show they've ever done.
I want to be a little cynical about this because when I hear that Joss Whedon can't do Batgirl, I just think back to those pre-2010 years about how, Joss Whedon's going to do Wonder Woman and he has the best Wonder Woman script, and then it didn't happen.
Joss Whedon apparently can't be trusted with anything. I mean, without I'm fairly confident he only got out Avengers and Age of Ultron because he had Feige breathing down his neck at every turn.
Yeah, he's made up what you're saying right now. It's kind of irritating the fuck out of me because he did movies and he did fucking 5 television shows.
Superhero movies in an established universe.
He wrote the Astonishing X-Men.
No, I know. I'm not saying he doesn't have a lot of successes, but his track record with established superhero
established DC Warner Brothers properties. They've both been canceled. That's the 2 that didn't work out.
Maybe we should just stop asking him. Maybe we should just let him alone.
I'm starting to think even more and more that the problem isn't with the writer. It's with DC and Warner Brothers themselves.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the commonality here is they have Ben Affleck left. Is that because he can't make a movie? All of a sudden,
and that's not true.
Or is it because Warner Brothers and him can't get along?
Yeah,
they can't get a Batman movie out. Now they can't get a Batgirl movie out. The only thing that came out right was Wonder Woman. Period.
That's more of a in spite of Warner Brothers.
And they couldn't even. The thing is that I actually loved the Zack Snyder director's cuts, but clearly he didn't have final cut on what goes out. And then they recut everything about Justice League. And they gave Joss like 2 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
And everything had to be rearranged to eliminate Darkseid, which was the main thrust of the movie. And when I finally heard the plot that was actually in the movie that was already shot, it's not like he had to come in and finish. They changed the whole movie while Zack was mourning.
That's true. It's easy to forget the timeline.
And then Joss has to work on Batgirl, which he had signed on to while Zack was still working with him on stuff. And maybe he just doesn't want to fucking do it anymore. Because it's shit. Maybe he's still fucking under attack all the fucking time. We don't know what the fuck is happening, but I'm saying I watched 25 years of that guy's television shows and movies and Serenity. Everything went well. And then both of the DC projects are the ones that are canceled. Where he usually is feminist. The thing is, a man can't be fully feminist because you're just not a woman at the end of the day. You can't actually write women. You have to write the feminine aspect within yourself, right? So there's going to be problems inherent in it if he doesn't have female writers helping him. It's not about, like, he doesn't rework it to be about, like, his wife came out and spilled all their fucking baggage everywhere because she was mad for obvious reasons. But he didn't make anything about him sleeping with anybody. I don't know. That's just, all of that seems really unfair. And I don't even want to be talking about this because I hate when we talk about people's personal lives, you know, when it has it has literally zero effect on the content that is actually for us. You know, this is not Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right, Doug. That we took a kind of it's
a personal hero of mine, and I know I had to let that go. I had to drop it down a few pegs, but at the same time, he's still just a person. And I know plenty of people who have cheated on each other that are not like evil. Like, this is just a thing that happened, and I don't want to, you know. It's like I don't want to color our idea.
I was more bringing it up because I feel like it's silly to pretend it did not have some bearing on Warner's decision.
No, that can be Warner kicking him out because of the controversy. I'll believe that. Yeah, but and then he has to make up a story about why he's leaving because they don't want to fire him, but they have to. So
that was my take on that's how I perceived it, because I don't believe for a second Joss Whedon can't come up with a story, especially for someone like Batgirl when he was so excited to do it. I think it's more of an example of them pushing him out.
Yeah, and I think especially when you consider that he won't sign on to things if he doesn't have a story, and he'd already signed on.
Yeah,
like he only signed up for Age of Ultron because he figured out what he was going to do. Because at first he was like, "I'm not doing it. I only had the one Avengers story in me." Now he might have been a little bit more right than he thought he was. You know, like once he got forced to do the story. But they also that was a phase where they were shoehorning in more. Like Marvel was interfering more than they had during Phase 1. And so they had to shove in the Thor dream, and then they're like, no,
I remember that.
You know?
Yeah, and then we saw the big turnaround. Like, I really think it's like with Marvel, the Edgar Wright leaving Ant-Man really made
the first.
Yeah, you start seeing them making their changes slowly. Yeah, it's Warner Brothers' fault. Let's just blame Warner Brothers, everybody.
They're an easy target. They're like the schools.
Oh,
man.
Okay, whoa.
Wait,
you know, I said that, and then I realized what that meant. I meant an easy target as in being picked on for all the fails of society. Not
okay.
That was poorly received.
That was,
Yeah,
you know what?
that was like into a really dark, like Doug Stanhope place.
Here's the thing. I blame the schools all the time, and I use that line a lot. And then I just threw out, I don't mean anything about anything.
Yeah, that was a good
That was
dark.
such a relief, though.
Yeah.
Because it was out of nowhere.
I mean, because that's the kind of thing you hear me say, or
Yeah.
like, oh, being dark, and like, never you. So it was more surprising to hear you actually say it.
Well, yeah, but that's, you know, that's why.
I'm glad you didn't mean that, because then I would have had to top you.
That's fine.
No,
That's good.
That I'm the fucked up one.
hard pass.
I just thought about the let's quick little change the really cool Captain America news.
Yes.
In
Yes,
comics.
that's my final bit of news. Ta-Nehisi Coates will be writing Captain America.
Ooh. Falcon or is it?
No, it's
old. It's Steve Rogers.
It's old school Steve Rogers.
Yeah. So
Yep.
the kind of the bummer is that Mark Waid, Chris Samney run. All right, Douglas. The kind of bummer is the Mark Waid, Chris Samney run is getting cut very short, which is a bummer to me because that's one of my favorite creative teams. But I can't lie and say that this is kind of a really interesting choice to be kind of the shepherd of Captain America for the new launch.
Yeah.
And I didn't really. I liked his work on Black Panther, but you know, it kind of fell by the wayside. I've got some issues on my iPad that I have to kind of burn through. So I'm very curious how he's going to tackle this.
Yeah. I assume he had an angle that he pitched him, and it was good. I mean,
It's got to be.
or that they had an angle they thought he was good for.
Have y'all seen that cover?
No, I haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, the cover is great. Pull it up, Chris. Do your magic.
All right.
That cover is beautiful. That's like,
You know what else is beautiful? My friendship with Josh.
Yeah. Well, we also, you know, talking about this, we have to mention the artist is going to be Lanil Yu.
Oh,
and, with covers by Alex Ross.
I mean that's the kind of that's when you get a team like this together, it doesn't happen all the time, but that's when you know.
Total apology.
Seriously.
yeah.
I think this is a massive apology.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I felt that that Mark Waid and Chris Samney was kind of the big "we're sorry" Captain America team, and I think they're going even further than I kind of thought they would.
Yeah, they're going all balls deep on this.
Like, oh shit, guys, we are super sorry.
They're taking the dog in the bathtub, and they're gonna.
Look, not in any way to diminish Coates' ability as a writer, because his Black Panther was incredible. But it's hard not to think that it's also just there's a reason they're putting him on Cap, because we came from a white supremacist Nazi Cap, and then what better way to show everyone that, hey, we're promising to do right by Cap? Because I don't know if you guys read the Falcon Cap series.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't write that one, but I feel like this is the right way to go, because I could see all the complaints if they got another just a random white dude to write Captain America again. I think Coates is a great choice to go forward on this big.
They actually want to rehabilitate and maybe they need to start this as a trend of not like, you've got Kamala Khan established now. Let the Muslim writers have somebody else for a second.
Oh man, what's her name? G. Willow Wilson. She had a great series come out of Secret Wars that was short-lived called A-Force, where it was all the That was a great series. Basically, yeah, let G. Willow Wilson recommend someone to you.
Yeah.
To take on. If you need to tie it into a proven success, I'm sure she knows lots of people talented as an artist or writer that would love to tackle somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do I know? I'm just another white dude talking on the internet. Hashtag the white people are at it again.
All right. Well, that's all the comic news I saw fit to pull.
Hey, Kogasu's here.
Hey, Kogasu!
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, what's
I
up?
know another piece of news that we didn't mention.
What's that?
The Nightwing movie is once again canceled.
I didn't know it was back on.
Oh, hold on.
No, you can't hold on. What is the rest of the sentence?
No, it has nothing to do with this. This is an interesting.
That's why
This is an interesting point because this was interesting because I heard on NPR this morning when I was heading to work, they were talking about diversity in movies and so on, Wonder Woman and Black Panther, and then someone said, "Well, the next step is to actually make a gay superhero."
What?
A gay superhero movie.
Man, I would love a Midnight or an Apollo film. No joke.
And Warner Brothers should get moving because this actually might be a good thing. You know, you might cancel.
Well, you know, it's.
But it's not going to happen.
They don't really. The only thing they have, and here's the thing, is who I would go with, because you can't get a Batman movie together, but you can get a Wonder Woman movie together. You can't do, Suicide Squad sucked, but everybody agrees on Harley, right?
Yeah.
Batwoman. The movie is going. Like,
definitely.
don't make Nightwing gay. That's weird. Just make the fucking character you already have that everybody, if you bother to read it, loves. And then, don't kill her wife. Just let her get married. Anyway.
Yeah. But the reason I brought that up is because now the reason they said they're not moving forward the film has to do with the fact that Nightwing will be part of the Titans TV show, which I am also convinced will never happen.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is I thought that got canceled a long time ago.
No, they're still moving forward. Like we just recently got casting news for it.
Like I thought the Titans show got canceled because they were gonna do a Nightwing movie instead. So then they must have gone back on that because TV's doing fine.
Like DC is great.
Yeah, they work on TV.
Yeah, they do.
They just do.
I don't know. I don't get it.
If they put together, well, a lot of it's due to the same producer being able to bring them.
Who recently made a comment about how DC movies just can't work on the cinematic as well as Marvel does?
I don't remember.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that. I think if you do, first of all, Batman is not the only character that, like, all you have to do is treat it with the same respect they approached Batman Begins with.
Yeah.
And find the core realistic part of the character and the archetype they represent and represent them both at the same time. Stop killing the Kents. It's not a real thing that happens. Just stop it. He's not Batman. In fact, reverse all your Batman instincts, because that's how you create a character that's not Batman. Stop trying to make Superman into Batman. Stop trying to make Batman into the Punisher. But the thing is, having said all that, if I just accept Zack Snyder's version of reality, I wanted to see his conclusion, which was his Justice League. And they didn't put it out there. So I'm actually frustrated. Even though I don't agree with Batman having all these guns and shit, I feel like the evolution, when I found out the synopsis, is that the evolution of the characters was leading up to them actually being who they're supposed to be. And in a way, at least. It was still going to be dark and weird. Yeah. But, like,
I have a question. What do you think of the forever rumored Snyder cut of Justice League? Real or fake?
I think it's real. I watched one of the Kevin Smith Batman on Batman, whatever, one of his 47 podcasts, right? And one of them,
Batman on Batman?
Yeah, I think it was that one. Yeah, it was because it was him and the other guy, and they're at the bar. Like, it's like a Moss Isley looking bar somewhere in California. Anyway, and they had a guest who had claimed to have seen the screening of the no special effects, but all shot, cut by Snyder. So this is the thing. I don't know if we're ever going to see it because they'd have to finish the movie. It's like if he ever did a squid ending to Watchmen, we're never going to see that because they'd have to actually render it. And they went with the other one, right? It's like a lot of money. But they went through it beat by beat, and it's too much exactly what's missing. And then somebody else confirms it. Like, that is also claimed to have been in on the screening. That was in the audience. And they go, like, it's like this, this, and this. And they're like, that matches all the notes we got So let's just go through them. And he went to go through them like beat by beat, and it makes 10 times more sense. Like instead of them just deciding to resurrect Superman to fight Steppenwolf, it's that Steppenwolf's plan is to resurrect Superman. So they go beat him to the punch so that he doesn't become the Superman from Batman's vision in Dawn of Justice, which makes more sense because if that vision isn't tied into Justice League, then it makes zero sense. He obviously wanted, that was a Justice League payoff, you know?
It was
yeah. And then maybe a Flashpoint payoff, but whatever. He had plans, and that's the reason that scene can't get cut. Because it's the first scene that should hit the cutting room floor when you're on a 4-hour movie, right? Unless it has something to do with Justice League. And I think that, and then Darkseid kills Steppenwolf at the end. Because it was originally part 1 of 2.
Yeah.
And you can feel like that's the reason Steppenwolf is kind of a low-grade villain. A, his CG probably wasn't finished because they had to redo every fucking scene. But B, because he's actually the minor guy leading up to, he's like the fucking dude that talks to Thanos at the end of Avengers 1. Like, he doesn't actually matter. He's an underling sent to get the mother boxes together. That's it. So I thought it was like the characters are less stupid this way. When you have to rush and slap shit together, it ends up coming out like this, you know?
Yeah. And it's like when you watch Ant-Man, and you can definitely tell which parts Edgar Wright did and which parts his replacement did. You can easily tell in Justice League what parts Snyder did and which parts oh man, we just talked.
We did.
Jumped in and added. Like, it's a very there's a tonal shift that's very blatant in that movie.
And the thing is, this would have been a more even tonal shit. Like, you know, like it would have been a Joss-Zack collaboration finishing off what essentially becomes a Justice League trilogy, right? Building toward the team instead of a whole cinematic universe. But instead, Joss has to rewrite everything from scratch, even though he had already written everything with Zack. So it's just a really weird situation, and it's just as chopped up and uneven as Suicide Squad. And in my opinion, I can still feel it in Rogue One too. There's been a lot of movies that have come out in the past couple of years where they were dark and then they were chopped up to be light because the studio got afraid because of basically Dawn of Justice not doing well. But the reason Dawn of Justice didn't do well is because you chopped it up.
Yeah.
So it's just this crazy sauce. So I feel like ultimately Warner Brothers won't get their thumb out of these movies' assholes.
They won't.
And Marvel keeps getting it right because it's their property that they're getting right. They're the company.
Yeah.
You know, Warner Brothers owns DC, and for the past 40 years has just seen it as a place to mine IP. And it still is to them. They still don't respect comics. They still don't care about these characters at all. Marvel became a studio. So, and Disney tends to let anything successful just sort of be there feeding it instead of like attacking it and trying to make it into Disney. I mean, they are probably saying, pick a structure that works, go with it, because that's what we do. But
we have structure.
Do Iron Man again. You know, they probably are saying things like that, but they aren't like literally recutting the movie while the director's out of the room. Mourning his dead fucking daughter.
Yeah. I can talk a lot about.
That's a reason to just release a 5-hour fucking cut that he made, just for PR reasons.
Yeah, I can talk a lot about Green Lantern and the filming process of Green Lantern.
That's right, you were part of that.
Yeah. So, but
that itself, it was supposed to be all practical effects, and then Avatar came out, so they shoved their thumb up its ass and turned it into this CGI. You can't even feel anything for the characters fest. They decided halfway into filming that it was going to be. They were setting up Blackest Night.
Yeah.
With the first Green Lantern movie. That is so shitty and totally doesn't get the history of the character. Like,
and they completely changed the ending, but
Parasite was supposed to be the villain, then it was Parallax because they wanted to set up
it was a mess. Moving on.
Yeah.
So, do you guys want to tackle the big thing, the ranking of the Marvel movies?
It's time.
Let's do it.
Matt, are you finished cramming your homework?
Oh yeah.
How are we gonna do this?
We're gonna start from the bottom. I'll keep a spreadsheet.
Over here.
Yeah, now we're here.
I'll keep a spreadsheet, and then we'll go through and I'll add them up.
Okay.
All right. So Matt, you start off.
All right. My number 18 is the only one that should ever be at 18 because it is true cinematic garbage. Is Thor 2.
I do not hate that movie as much as you guys do.
Oh, that's fine. And you know what? I kind of, it makes me feel better that there are some people that love it, or just enjoy it. That's fine.
Love it.
For me, it is aggressively boring and just mediocre at all things. The fact that it's one of the only Marvel movies I can't recall the plot to. All I remember was that there was a portal fight scene, and it had the world's worst Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tie-in. I had to look up on Wikipedia what the villain was called.
Malekith.
Yeah, now I know.
Cursed.
But before it was just another wasted performance of Chris Eccleston.
Yeah.
And that's a big hierarchy.
Yeah. Like Kogasu in chat said, he's okay with Thor 2, but it's incredibly forgettable. And I think with Marvel movies, they too tend to run together and be formulaic. So the fact that Thor 2 is the most forgettable of them to me says a lot.
If I was going by that scale, Doctor Strange would be on my bottom. I forget it every time I'm trying to name it.
It doesn't matter. Like you rate your movies however you want. I'm just saying, for me, Thor 2 is at the bottom and has been since it came out.
Yeah.
So moving on, Chris.
I also have Thor: The Dark World. I'm a very big Thor fan, especially with its more modern comic series, and I really loved the first Thor, and this one left me so cold. And I was like Matt with any of his live action properties, where I wanted it to be so good, and I kept trying to tell myself, and then I had it, and I couldn't bring myself to rewatch it. So, also Christopher Eccleston is fucking ruined.
No.
Well, the thing is, it's like Willem Dafoe in Spider-Man. Like, why'd you put a mask on him?
Exactly.
Let him be an elf. Like take a little bit down on because he's a really great actor, and just let him have more of a face.
He just had nothing to do in that movie. I couldn't remember. I couldn't tell you what his plot was, except generic wants revenge or something. I think it was revenge. I don't know.
The weakness of the Thor movies, and they have made people think this about the entire Marvel series, is that their villains have sucked. And I'll account for that even for Hela. Hela is a blank that does not fucking matter. It is all about Thor and Loki and Odin and the fact that the movie's hilarious and Jeff Goldblum, right? Like, that's why Ragnarok's good.
Yeah.
But Hela is another boring, this overly dramatic villain with no real underpinnings to her. Like, they didn't really do a lot of work setting up her story, making me care that she doesn't like them, or wants the throne or something. But anyway, my point being just that Thor movies have had the weak villains. I think the Iron Man villains have been pretty good. I think the Cap villains have been great. I think, Avengers has a sort of faceless thing going on, but that's because it's just about the team getting together. But I think people go do a lot, and then Doctor Strange doesn't have a good villain. Ant-Man they're just repeats of stuff. But anyway.
Okay, so what are your guys' number 18?
My 18 is Iron Man 2. I fucking hate it. I think it's so fucking. It's spinning wheels. It was not meant to be, and it was pieces of things. Here's my thing: is the actual movie they were about to make for Iron Man 2, which was the alcoholism story, is once again they cut out all the dark parts because they didn't have balls, and left you with just the Sam Rockwell stuff, which is good. He's funny, but Whiplash kind of blows. I care a little, And because it was basically right after the Iron, it throws off the symmetry of the entire universe because he gets 2 movies before anybody else gets 1. And I just find it like an entire thing where it's just setting up the Avengers and not doing any Iron Man work. And it's, so I don't, it's the least rewatchable. There's not even a really big thing I like about the ending. You know, like Thor: The Dark World, I don't like a lot of the villain stuff, but I do love the fight through the portals. And I like the hammer flying all over the place and Darcy going meow meow. I wish she was the lead female, actually.
Kat Dennings deserves more credit for saving the first 2 Thor movies for me. Her scenes were amazing.
And when they let Chris Hemsworth be funny.
She was as charming and likable on screen as Natalie Portman was forgettable.
Yeah. And like part of that is like, you know, like I think the best parts of the first Thor movie are Loki, Kat Dennings, and when Thor throws the cup on the ground, right? Like, and goes another, which is what he should have been doing the whole time, just being a Viking. Anyway, so Thor, Iron Man 2 is my lowest. I just don't want to watch that again. Like, I have no interest. It's a lot. There's a lot of fat on it. Let's put it that way, and not a lot of meat. There's probably like half the movie actually counts, and the rest of it is like, look at Cap's shield. Here's Black Widow way too early. You know, we don't need it. Anyway,
Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2 for Josh?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm done.
You already
all right, Matt, number 17.
Yeah. Matt.
17?
Yes.
Thor 1. For the longest time, the 2 Thor movies, Thor only really shined for me in the Avengers films. His solo outings were just tedious for me. Like, I enjoyed it enough as it aired, like when I saw it in theaters, but as more Marvel films came out and I had more to compare it to, the 2 Thor movies dropped further and further down for me. And I think it's hard for me to put into words. It might be because they underutilized Asgard, or they prioritized nameless humans I didn't care about, or the fact that there really wasn't much action in the first 2 Thor movies. I don't know what. Maybe it was a combination of all of it and some other stuff. Like, for some reason, maybe I need to just rewatch them. But a lot of these Marvel rankings are going to be based on just my gut, the remaining gut feelings and reactions to them. And Thor has been bottom of the barrel Marvel for me since, when did Thor 2 come out? I don't know. 5 years ago.
I in some ways agree with you. I mean, I'm going to get to Thor in a couple of seconds, maybe. But I agree with you. I just like intensity level, I think, is what I disagree on. You know, like, it's not my bottom. It's very close. But yeah, I don't like the other 2. I've got more.
Hey, that's totally fair. What about you, Crizzle?
My number 17 is Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Whoa!
Wow.
Yes. I watched this a couple of weeks ago, and I cannot believe how boring this is. It is duller than dishwater, and I could not stand it. I left the theater, you know, and people were pretty down on it in theaters, and I was pretty positive on it. And for some reason, this rewatch kind of cemented that it's kind of a lower tier Marvel film. It doesn't do it for me.
Huh.
So that's where I'm sitting.
I got you.
Heard.
All right, Doug.
Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
Is my, what is it, 17?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not in a dislike, like I didn't extremely dislike it, but I feel like, and you're right, like about like Thor and stuff, but like for me, like Hulk is also boring if you don't do it. Like I feel like Joss was the only guy who got how to do Thor or Hulk, and that they are also better in conjunction with one another, which is why Ragnarok works. But like, I did not care. Like everything Joss said about his work on the Avengers, about how to make Hulk interesting, which he definitely did in that movie, was that if you don't make the Hulk scary in the first 2 acts, then Bruce is an unsympathetic character because he's fighting to keep you from enjoying the film. His entire modus operandi is to keep the Hulk from coming out, and that's all you showed up for. But if you show me the Hulk and show me why I don't want the Hulk to come out, then I care about Bruce. And I was never in any way frightened of the Hulk coming out. I always wanted him to show up, and he kept, not showing up. And so it was just this frustratingly boring movie. And then finally, the last 5 to 10 minutes are exciting actual Hulk fight, right? Where he gets to let loose and shit. But it wasn't that cathartic. And the version of the Hulk they had was too, I don't know, it didn't feel real. Especially then everything of that is fixed by the Avengers. But I just still, and I like Edward Norton too. I wish that he had been able to stay, or that they had already had Mark Ruffalo. That's the same thing I'll say about Don Cheadle and Terrence Howard, is I wish that continuity was coherent.
Yeah, my 17 is the Hulk as well. I think it's a waste of 2 really good actors with Tim Roth and Tim Roth and Ed Norton. I think it's just a waste of really 2 very talented actors, and you just, I don't know. It's one of those movies that you can just throw away.
Nobody wastes talented actors like Thor movies, though.
not Thor 3. Not Ragnarok.
Less so.
That's true. Matt, you're number 16.
Hulk.
Okay.
It eked out the Thor movies because I actually remember quite enjoying the final climactic battle, something I can't say about Thor 1 and 2. The fight between him and Abomination was pretty cool. Plus, they get bonus points for the first movie on my list where they didn't murder the true villain. Well, I guess Loki, but you know what I mean. Like, the other people Thor fought all got killed, and that's another complaint Marvel's had. Abomination is still out there, captured and being experimented on. They'll probably never bring him back because of licensing rights, but the potential's there.
Yeah.
The potential.
Well, because they can't make Hulk movies, which is the only place you'd actually put it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you guys talked enough about it. I don't need to harp on it more, just because it's pretty universally agreed upon that Incredible Hulk is weak tier Marvel movie.
And also, it might have suffered from being in the shadow of literally Iron Man, which is one of the best still.
It also felt so separate, though.
It had a shadow Iron Man crossover to it. It was very subtle.
Yeah.
My number 16 is the Incredible Hulk for reasons already mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to get into it too much. I do remember that Abomination fight being pretty cool, but I've literally not rewatched this since Theaters. So
I remember thinking that
I'm going on feeling more than anything.
I remember they wasted the leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did try to make the leader, and it didn't happen.
Yeah. They can't do a sequel, so he can't show up. It's like,
Yeah.
All right, Doug, you're number 16?
My number 6, you mean 15?
No, not you. You're not Doug. You're not Doug.
My bad, boo.
Thor: The Dark World.
Thor: The Dark.
It made it over the other 2 because of the portal fight at the end. The stuff with Loki and him I thought was fun. I don't care about the villain, but I did think the truck floating part was cool. Like there's a few little things about the movie. I thought Darcy was even more funny, and so was Stellan Skarsgård in that one, because that's where he was crazy. I cared a little bit more about what was going on, and they spent a little bit more time in Asgard, which I found better than the previous movie. But it's still ultimately, when you look at all the rest of the movies that you have to pick from, low tier, bottom 5. So that's fine.
Josh?
Thor 2 also is in the same spot. Everything.
We all pretty much agree that Thor 2 and Incredible Hulk are bottom tier films.
Yeah. And Thor 2 is it's a placeholder.
Those 2, by bracket rules, should probably be fighting really top tier shit.
Yeah.
First round.
Yeah.
I can't
just to exclude them immediately. Like that's how this works.
Yeah, I just can't say anything. It's just setting up the stones. That's all it really is. It's setting up the Infinity Stones.
It's starting the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Matt, you're number 15.
My number 15 is Cap 1.
Really? Wow.
And this is largely due to the fact that even while I saw it in theaters, I passed out. I actually fell asleep watching this film. Now, part of it, most likely because Chris and I saw it while at San Diego Comic-Con. They had a premiere.
Oh, God, yeah.
And it was like quite late at night after a full day of Comic-Conning. And I fully admit that probably played a role into it. But I also know myself, and if I'm really invested and excited about a movie, my adrenaline kicks in and I watch it. But Cap 1, the first part, was very, and of course, yeah, we had to build them up, whatever. It was plotting and took forever to get to the good stuff. And I just was like, ugh. And then Red Skull was a little too cartoonish for me. And Artem Zola sucks. Hate him. Dumb.
The Red Skull Nazi was a little too cartoonish for you?
Yes. He played him too cartoony for me. I don't know.
No, I get it. It's fair. My number 15 is Doctor Strange. Because honestly, I feel like until the bargaining sequence with Dormammu, nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's kind of just there, and I think Benedict Cumberbatch physically is like the right person to play Doctor Strange. I'm not sure if he's the right actor to play him, but the whole movie, up until that ending, because that ending is spectacular, but up until that ending is kind of a snore. So, Doctor Strange.
I kind of agree with that. It's the same, almost like what you're saying is like how I feel about Dark World, which I just mentioned, because like there's a lot of like I forgot most of this, and then the ending I thought was extremely clever. That third act, which they hadn't shown me, what I thought was really smart and action clever, direction clever, but not really. That's not necessarily writing performance.
Okay.
What am I on?
You're on 15.
Thor. I'm on Thor 1.
Thor the first. Okay.
I actually really liked the movie when it came out, but as the better and better movies came out, it slowly kind of dropped down, and I realized I only really liked half of the movie. I didn't like most of the Earth stuff, which I felt was like a rom-com without much weight to it and nothing happening. And I do like the stuff where he's acting like a Viking, and it's like a Beastmaster goes to San Francisco, like a movie where this fantasy character. If they had gone full hog into that, right, where it's almost like a 1980s He-Man, the motion picture sort of thing, but with a budget, or if they had stayed on Asgard for most of it, like the way Cap stays in the 40s, like keep them in their world.
Yeah, it's better.
And then kick him down for the event, like anything like that. That would have been like, okay, I can dig this. I can get used to what you're doing. But the back and forth, I really cared so much more about Loki and what he was doing and the performance that Hiddleston was giving. And like and I didn't. It's also one of those like Magneto and the X-Men movies where like I really don't feel like the movie sold the hero's argument.
Yeah,
like Loki's super right in the first Thor movie.
Yeah.
He's the smart one. This fucking dude is an asshole jock, and he does deserve to get kicked out. So why didn't you just immediately crown your smart son? Because you're an asshole and he's not yours. But anyway, so, that's one of the things is you didn't really sell me on Thor in that movie. You totally sold me on Loki, which is one of your jobs because he's going to show up in the Avengers. But like, it's still low compared to the other ones of enjoyment, really.
Josh, you have Thor as well at 15?
I also have Thor as well, but I liked it at this spot because it's a setup for Hawkeye and Loki kills it. But other than that, yeah.
Josh, I'm going to tell you to stop copying off Doug's homework.
Not anymore.
It's about to diverge after this.
Okay. Sure. Matt, your number 14 is?
My number 14 is Iron Man 3. And I know that this is a very split movie because some people love the stupid twist and they think it's clever and brilliant and whatever. More power to them. Hated it. Hated it. Dragged the whole.
What twist are you talking about?
What?
Which twist are you talking about?
Mandarin.
Yeah, I know you're talking about the Mandarin twist because there's 2 Mandarin twists and they're both the Mandarin.
That Ben Kingsley is not the Mandarin. Hate it. Almost as much as I hate the fact that Iron Man is almost never in a suit. Like, it felt like a cop-out at all times. Anytime a fight occurred with the suit, it was on autopilot. And I will never forget, I think the only other time I felt this betrayed by a movie was when Liam Neeson did not actually fight wolves in the gray.
Oh.
Is when they showed this amazing battle of all of his suits about to come in at once. And it was the biggest cop-out letdown in Marvel history for a fight scene that was teased. It was awful, and none of the suits were utilized. And it was just like, punch, oh, they fell apart. And it was just, so much about that movie irked me. But it went higher than Cap, Hulk, and the Thors because I think Iron Man's personal journey was better than the other ones. But boy, do I just have a hard-on for Iron Man 3. And I'm always in the minority for it. Everyone's like, oh, I love it. I'm like, fuck you. I don't know what to say. Like, I just swallow it all in. Hate it. But it gets higher than the others because it actually elicits this kind of emotion from me, whereas the other movies that preceded it were mediocre and boring, and I find that's a bigger crime.
Fact. My number 14 is Captain America: The First Avenger. I find this movie fairly charming, but it doesn't. It's too much of a build up to Avengers as opposed to being on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we had cast anyone other than Chris Evans, this movie fucking tanks. I think Chris Evans carries this on his brawny, manly shoulders and drags it to victory.
I think Haley Atwell shouldn't be underestimated either.
Yes.
No, agreed. Oh, man, she was a delight in her own TV show.
Yeah, I wish Agent Carter was still on and that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had faded away. And that's saying it as someone who loves the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, but that I feel like there's only so long you can drag this out. It feels like it's losing steam.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're number 14, Doug.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
It is on the list for the same reason you said about everything else. I find it forgettable, and I think the reason it's forgettable is because it's Iron Man. And they did that with 2 movies. The other one is next. The plot is Iron Man plot until that ending with the time travel, which is why you remember that ending. Because our brains delete things we've already done. They just don't pay attention. You just don't pay attention to stuff you've already seen before. And I'd seen that whole plot. He's basically the same character. And they should have just made him Asian. I mean, really, it would have fixed a lot of problems. But Benedict Cumberbatch, okay, he gets to play everything ever. And he's good. He looks the character. I think, like, that guy's going to work in the Avengers movies. Like, I'm happy he's doing it. And, with his Dr. House voice. And,
very flat.
Yeah, the flat, standard American doctor accent that him and Hugh Laurie do. And can you even remember the female lead in that movie? I can't.
A doctor.
The stone is just sort of shoved in the Strange mythos, and then some parts get too funny after not having been funny, and there's just a lot of weirdness to it, and then that ending happens, and you feel like you've got it. But they spent so much of the movie training him.
Yeah,
he really could have just come back.
He could have Cumberbatched.
Yeah, he could have disappeared and come back Doctor Strange, and then the whole movie could have been him being Doctor Strange, and it would have made total sense.
Josh, you're number 14.
Age of Ultron.
Oh, okay.
And it's there because they kill Quicksilver.
Hey, that's one of the better reasons I've heard.
I like Age of Ultron. I really did because Hawkeye kills it, as you can get an idea.
I really like Hawkeye.
I'm a big Hawkeye fan.
Jeremy Renner's a fucking dick.
Yeah, I know. But the character, yeah, he is. But the character himself works, and I really enjoyed that whole like monologue that he has about how he's just a regular guy, just here. Everyone else has superpowers, but he's here, and he's got a job to do, and he's kind of keeping the whole team together.
I got a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
Yeah, it's a great little speech, but they kill Quicksilver, and it's just kind of like, I get it. Like the X-Men have a great Quicksilver going on over there, but like real like it's another one of my favorite characters.
I mean, my defense of that is they have Avengers over here. Quicksilver's an X-Men character, even though he's brothers with Scarlet Witch. He never shows up in the Avengers really, unless you talk about Ultimates and stuff like that. And Scarlet Witch is an Avengers character who's a mutant who's never in an X-Men book.
I get that. Yeah, I get
so
that.
If you're gonna split the property rights down the middle,
it's a good split.
Yeah. And I think it was also the fake out of like it's clearly a movie where Hawkeye dies, and then he doesn't get killed because Quicksilver saves him. I get it. I get the irony, but yeah, I know your frustration.
Matt, you're number 13.
My number 13 is Age of Ultron.
Okay.
It does not live up. The final fights with Ultron and the Hulk versus Hulkbuster fight kind of elevate it, but for the most part, after you're done with the rapture of seeing it for the first time in theaters, and I tried to rewatch it with my parents. Like I was like, hey, this movie finally came out. We should watch it. You guys enjoyed the first Ultron. And I just remember my dad going, when does it actually start? Because it just plods. And then the whole farm scene, while good character building, I guess, just felt out of place. The Thor dream scene felt out of place. It's the Marvel's equivalent of the Flash dream from Batman v Superman. It just doesn't live up. You guys all went into the points much better and in more deep detail. I don't think I need to reiterate what you guys said. Ultron went from what should have been a sure thing to easily one of the weaker movies overall.
You know what? The best part about that farm scene is Captain America ripping that log in half. I'll watch that all day.
Well, guys, I don't know about you, but the most pressing question I ever had about the MCU was, what about Hawkeye's family?
I hope he gets that kitchen done.
None of that made any sense.
Well, I also thought that was awful because, like, if I had been his sister, it would have made a lot more sense to me. But, like, I like the Hawkeye series so much that any contradiction of it.
Yeah. I wish he played more like Matt Fraction's Hawkeye.
Yeah.
No, he needs to have a family. He has red in his ledger.
Yeah.
Avengers 1 should have had him lose his hearing. And then Avengers 2 would be him trying to reconcile the fact that he, as a disabled person with no superhero powers, how could he contribute to the team?
Jeremy Renner was too busy at that point.
That should have been his journey.
My number 13 is Iron Man the Second. I have this thing with certain movies where I know they're bad and they're very long, but I kind of can't help but love them. I have this with the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, and I guess Iron Man 2, because it's really long. It's probably not very good, but I kind of really love it, and I don't know that I can verbalize why. So, yeah, that's where I'm sitting with it.
Yeah,
I don't know. Doug, you're number 13.
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, once again, just Iron Man, but funny. And I don't care.
It is pretty funny.
I love Paul Rudd as the character. I thought it was a good intro for him. But ultimately, it's following the same beats. And I can't tell you anything about that movie either, except for the giant fucking Thomas the Tank Engine and a couple other things, and I might be holding a grudge against it for not being Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. I don't think I'll ever be able to let go of that test footage or having been an Edgar Wright fan for as long as I was and how perfect that movie was going to be, and them changing the script around so much and basically making an Iron Man plot out of it. just a suit. Here's a guy who's the same suit. He stole the suit, and he's got a different suit, and they're gonna fight the other guy in the suit. I just don't care. I don't care about that villain more than I don't care about anybody. Like, he is my Malekith.
Okay.
Fuck that character. I do love the
Yellow
Hispanic guy and Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
And like, I love their elements in the movie, but ultimately that's like Darcy. You know, he's Darcy of the movie, and like, he's certainly helping a lot, but I just don't care. But I do like, I like his 35 seconds in Civil War more than I like the whole movie.
Paul Rudd may be the best addition to the Marvel universe.
Oh yeah, as an actor, he's phenomenal. I love him as a person and as a character. I think he's great, and I actually think Ant-Man and Wasp looks really good. But I just I didn't care about the first one that much.
I understand.
And we're also bleeding into none of these are going to be really bad, in my opinion, from now on. Like, we're at the point in the list where we've gotten through all the ones I really didn't like or couldn't like, and we're into ones I actually really enjoyed, but with issues compared to the other movies. That's where I'm at on this.
I understand. Josh, you're number 13?
Number 13 is Iron Man for me.
Whoa!
What?
Yeah.
Wait, which Iron Man?
The first Iron Man. I don't know. It's kicking off the Marvel universe. So, you know, it's setting up the tone. I don't know. I just feel like the Iron Man 3 is a better movie than Iron Man. And I feel like there are better movies on my list that's coming up that are better than Iron Man. But Robert Downey Jr. kills it, but he grows more as a character in all the other movies. Like Iron Man and Spider-Man Homecoming, I feel is better than the Iron Man and Iron Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Where's Matt?
Oh, he's Matt, if you can hear him, come back to the light. It's your turn.
I forgot I had him muted. My bad. I was
Yeah.
taking care of Ace.
You're number
Before
12.
we start, I just realized there was two things I wanted to show people this week, comic-related wise, but we kind of skipped over the weeks releasing comics. Number one is how the latest issue of Saga starts. You ready? Right on dick, baby. And if you can't appreciate that, then why are you even reading Saga? The next one is a standalone issue of All New Wolverine that features Laura's sister, Gabby, teamed up with Deadpool to infiltrate an evil animal testing lab that is creating zombie animals. And there is an amazing spread where they come across a zombie sloth, realize they have some time, and decide to get some drinks out of the vending machine.
Oh, that's fantastic. And they have the Wolverine with
Yeah,
them.
they have the actual Wolverine. Also, Deadpool makes squirrel kebabs, because why not? But where is it? Where they walk in. Honey Badger and Deadpool teaming up. It's the best tag team in a Marvel book I've seen in a while. And Deadpool teaches her how to use chloroform, which is always nice. It's the best role model scenario. And finally, the line, "Come on, you zombie rabbits, hippity hop to your doom." Aim for their cottontails. It's so good. So sorry. Had to take a brief detour to talk about that because it was too good not to. Moving on, my number 12 is Iron Man 2. You guys already discussed your reasons. I've got it a little higher just because at that time I really did love that it was the first time a movie was bringing in a unified universe, because you got to remember this was at a time when it had never been done before, really. And while the core movie suffers because of it, I still had such a geek out that even going back to it, I appreciated the movie a lot more. Plus, Hammer is great. Sam Rockwell steals every scene he's in.
Sam Rockwell is a treasure. In everything he's
fact.
And my thing is that there's two movies, there's two half movies in Iron Man 2.
2.5 Men?
and they each are okay. They're each pretty good, but they don't have anything to do with one another. So like one is about him not being good enough for the Avengers yet, and one is about Whiplash and all this backdrop and his Tony's flaws. And the rest of that movie is the alcoholism that gets him drunk enough to get into a fight with Rhodey and shit, and it doesn't happen. The opening scene, that was one of my favorite opening scenes ever, wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
He's throwing up. It's the opening to this, like, under the Marvel logo. And then, you know, the whole "you complete me" leaping out. It's like, because she won't kiss him, but she kisses the helmet because he's just been throwing up right in front of her. Anyway, it's an amazing scene, and that they cut that out. And it's like, that's my only reason. I think I actually agree with you that it was satisfying to see Black Widow show up. But it was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was seeing Black Widow show up. It was seeing the Thor hammer. It was seeing Hawkeye pop up.
Yeah.
No, Hawkeye didn't pop up in Iron Man 2.
He in Thor.
Yeah.
That was just right. But yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
My number 12 is Thor: Original Recipe. I thought this movie it kind of hit all my sweet spots and what I wanted for a Thor movie. I think the first reveal of Asgard kind of hit me a little emotionally, but I kind of really like this. And I think Darcy's great. Hawkeye's in it for like a minute, so whatever. But this was when Coulson was still really cool, and he showed up, so that's pretty exciting. But yeah, I think this is probably the right place. It's like in the middle of the pack. It's not super great and it's not super terrible, but it's solid.
Yeah. Was it me?
Yes.
What
You're number 12.
12. Mine is Age of Ultron. I like it more than you guys. I love the Vision as a character, so I think that might have something to do with it being up. I love Vision and Scarlet Witch specifically. Ultron as a villain, I think, suffers from not looking like the comic book one and having a face that moves around. Because I thought the zombie one that shows up first and attacks them is the most terrifying robot I've ever seen in my life. And he's
great.
And then he starts looking like a cartoon, like some sort of weird transformer that could have been. And I think like you lose the fear component for me for the rest of the movie. Whereas if he was terrifying the whole time, I think everything that happens afterwards has a little bit more impact. I really liked a lot of the sequences. I just felt like there's a bunch of stuff shoehorned in there, and I feel like the farm scene was just fought to keep one of those things that belonged maybe in his original version of the movie, but as soon as you start cutting down, you have to realize that that's one of your darlings you need to kill. Like, that's one of the things that can't be there. Like, it's supposed to be a break after a ton of shit has happened, and I get that. If you cut down most of the front half of the movie, there's no need for it anymore. Because I know, like, there are rumors about this one also being cut down, like, at least by an hour. So, and it's already long. But then there was like a 4-hour cut, and then they made him put in the dream sequence with the crystals and with the shards and stuff. But then, like, they told him the test audiences hated it and to take it out, and he was like, "Now I've made it intrinsic to the movie because Thor leaves, and he can't just leave and not go do anything." It's a whole fucking thing. Anyway, so I feel that that's most meddling, and that's why it's going to be low for an Avengers movie, But I still liked it. I still love Vision. I just love Paul Bettany, and I love it being Jarvis being played.
It's a pretty great Vision.
Yeah. Anyway.
Josh, you're number 12?
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3.
I really enjoyed Iron Man 3. I liked the whole twist with the Mandarin. I know Matt can say whatever he wants. I thought Ben Kingsley was great when that whole thing happened and just revealed that it was a whole different Mandarin. So, and I think it sets up that there might be another Mandarin. So there's more to it. And then the little footage, what was that, with Thor 2?
The Hail to the King?
Yeah, the Hail to the King footage was just fantastic and wonderful. and I don't know. That's why I really liked it. I liked. I forgot who played the Mandarin in it, but I remember he was just like it was like young Val Kilmer.
Oh, it's Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were right.
Young Val Kilmer killed it. I thought he was really, really good. And yet again, Iron Man still developing as a character. And I think the scene when Pepper gets the suit, I think that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Matt, you're number 11.
My number 11, and we're going to cut it off at this, and we'll finish up the top 10 next week. Just because it's pushing close to 11. It's 10:30 now, so womp womp. My number 11 is Doctor Strange.
Okay.
We're getting to the point where what I consider mid-tier Marvel, where it's they don't have enough for me to call it bad, but not enough for me to call it a great film. I think Doctor Strange was serviceable. I think, like, I agree with what you guys said earlier. They went way too hard on the origin portion of this, where the majority of the film is the training and the setup, and then the payoff comes, and afterwards you're like, oh, that was awesome, but then you go back and look at it and be like, that was a lot of buildup. I do love your boy playing Mordo. I forgot. What?
Mads Mikkelsen?
Yeah.
Yes. No.
Baron Mordo.
Yeah.
The operative from Serenity is Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed. He had a better arc than Doctor Strange did. It was really nice seeing his story arc. I think the twist on how he beat Dormammu was really ingenious. I loved Wong.
Oh no! I just remembered.
Was awesome.
Doctor Strange isn't Iron Man. It's Green Lantern.
Yeah, it's Green Lantern.
It's good Green Lantern.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. That's what was like bugging me the whole time.
That's what I'm going to talk about.
Is it's a well executed Green Lantern? Anyway, going. What I was going to talk about.
Other than that, though, I mean, I just think I think the whole sequence with the cape was great, but it's like you said, when there was humor, it was well done, but then it felt out of place for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
But I think visually the fights were really well done. I love the effects of the magic.
Yo, God,
oh yeah, amazing.
And I think enough. It has to be said that I appreciate that it actually is magic. They didn't try and explain it away as it's just science we don't understand yet from the future or whatever. It's legit. They kept magic in, and I was worried that they wouldn't. I was worried that they would think magic would be too far for the MCU, and they would try and explain Doctor Strange away as some kind of scientific.
That's why they said they left him for so late, because they wanted you to be able to swallow it. Like, if you do this right after Iron Man, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But if you do it after we've done Thor a couple of times, and he's like a half measure.
Yeah.
That everybody's kind of ready.
That's what I got.
Okay. My number 11 is Ant-Man. I think part of the reason why I like Ant-Man is that it is kind of the same origin as Iron Man, but it's a heist movie, and I kind of really enjoyed the heist aspect of it. I thought the effects for the growing and shrinking were really kind of cleverly done. Paul Rudd is amazing. I think it's really well cast. Everyone in it I kind of adore. And I like it the more I see it, which is kind of rare for these movies because usually, the more I see it, the more I end up picking at it. But this one kind of grew on me. And yeah, I really would like to see the Edgar Wright one, but it's what we got. So
yeah.
Doug, you're number 11.
Captain America: The First Avenger. For me, there's not a Cap movie that I didn't enjoy thoroughly. I was always a big fan of The Rocketeer. It's the same director, and he basically gave it the Rocketeer treatment, which is to have a sort of fun, slightly pulpy version of things, because it gave me the feeling of the pre-Avengers Cap's adventures. There's only one weak point for me, and that is that they kill Red Skull, ish, and then he doesn't ever return because of Hugo Weaving or whatever, but also because they sort of skim past his adventures, with like, they sort of imply the commandos that are together for a while and do stuff, And in that little montage, it gets cartoony. Like he's like slamming on the back top of the truck, like it's like Hogan's Heroes for like a few seconds. It goes a little too far into the camp. But for me, I was not bored for the skinny Steve Rogers part. Like the first act mattered heavily to me. It sold me on the entire concept. I didn't walk in a Captain America fan. I walked out one. And one of the reasons is there's a couple of moments where they sell me on this guy being a real person. And part of that is Chris Evans' performance, which is amazing. But that I did not think he was capable of. Because going into this, he was more of a Deadpool runner-up, if you look at those previous movies. And then the second thing is, like, there was the part where he jumps in the grenade, right? That's the most important part of the, like, there are these moments where when Marvel gets it right and they actually catch the heart of the character and make you believe it, that, like, still hasn't been done in most of the Warner Brothers movies except for Batman Begins. And, like, that is the moment where you sold me on Steve Rogers. That this kid is going to jump on a grenade and he can't fucking lift 5 pounds. And he keeps signing up to try to get into the military to fight. And I don't like bullies. Those lines are really important to me. They really sell me on it. And he feels like a guy I know. He feels like those guys that sign up that for altruistic reasons, whether or not you agree in the war, there are guys who are in the military right now who don't have a negative bone in their body. They go because they think it's the right thing to do. And that's what they sold me as. And this was also the war where it really was the right thing to do. So I don't know. That whole part was actually hit me really hard. And then also I'm in love with Haley Atwell. So it's got to be higher than anything. Anyway, that's me.
Good reasoning. I like it. Josh, number 11.
My number 11 is with Matt. I'm putting Doctor Strange here, and I enjoyed Doctor Strange. I enjoyed it in many ways because it was a well done Green Lantern. I talked to Doug about this. If you read the original shooting script for Green Lantern, and if you watch Doctor Strange, it hits all the same beats. Even the way, not really the way they defeat the villain at the end, because the villain in the original script takes all the Green Lantern Corps to defeat instead of just Hal defeating it. It takes them all working together.
But doesn't the guys show up?
Yeah,
at the end. Remember, like in
Doctor Strange, they all
Kilowog.
That's true. They do. They do. So they all come together and they work together. So it's the same. It's the same beat.
And then Baron Mordo is Sinestro.
But the cape is just amazing. I don't know why. It's just it's the personality.
It being a character.
Yeah, it being a character is just amazing, and the magic, the way it's explained in that universe,
it's the magic carpet from Aladdin.
Yeah,
it definitely is.
And I really can't wait to see how the magic is going to play with the technology. And that being said, you're setting up Doctor Doom, but I'll leave it at that. Technomage in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
right. This was very productive.
That's 18 through 11, and next week we would start the show right away so we can knock out 10 through 1. Finish up Chris's, or get to the next part of Chris's best animated shows of all time, outdated for 8 years.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about that list.
Matt, do you want to hear? Because I've been calculating. Do you want to hear what our bottom 6 are?
Bottom 6.
Yes.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Like 18, 17, 16, 15.
Worse.
Oh, you mean like that for the movies? I thought you were talking about the IGN list. I was very. confused.
No. I've been calculating the list as we've been talking about it.
Hit it.
All right, so in 18th place, Thor, original, with 8 points.
Oh.
In 17th place, The Incredible Hulk with 10 points. In 16th place, Iron Man 2 with 15 points. In 18, 17, 16, 15th place is Thor. Nope. I think that is Thor the Dark World had 8 points. This is Thor Original Recipe with 17 points.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
followed by Age of Ultron with 20 points, and Doctor Strange with 25 points.
Interesting. Okay. Well, good to know.
So the list is being formed, but we will have a condensed goddamn list.
That'd be awesome. I think it's really cool how you've been adding that up, Chris. Thanks for doing that.
No problem.
As it is, we will end the show this week. We didn't get to any gaming news this week because this list talk and the news of movies and whatnot we got long in the tooth on. But I will leave you with this. PlayStation Plus announced the hottest shit lineup in their history, I think, in terms of just quality games. The PS4 is getting Bloodborne and Ratchet & Clank.
That's really exciting.
Those are two amazing games that you'll be able to get for free. PS3 is getting Legend of K and Mighty No. 9, so yeah.
Whatever.
Cool. And hey, but Mighty No. 9's cross-buy with PS4. Actually, all PS4 is getting 5 games because one PS3 and both Vita games are cross-buy. And then cross-buy is getting the horror game Claire and action game Bombing Busters. So all those games will be on the PS4. But the big news is that we're getting 2 major first-party AAA games in Ratchet & Clank and Bloodborne for free. So someone like me that owns them both, not that big a deal, but I still think it's really cool for those that have gotten a PS4 more recently. More people should experience Ratchet & Clank because the game is sublime.
No thanks.
Chris, at least download it. You'll have it on your system. You don't ever have to play it, but if you ever get the urge to try it finally, it'll be there.
The Adventures of the Mechanical Wombat.
He's a Lombax, sir.
Should've done that with your middle finger.
But yeah, so I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
I'm Doug.
And I'm Josh.
And we will see you on the Flippy Floppy. That means next week for all you kids.
Just say next week.
Yeah.
Don't say flippy floppy.
See you on the Flippity Floppity.
Oh my God. Just